Cool. So, I'm just going to be lazy about this and not bother with showing you an intro card. But just for the sake of doing it, I'm sending out the channel ping. As soon as I can find the... Hey, look at that. All right, how is everyone doing? Welcome. It is Wednesday, April 12th. There is no Corbin today. Turns out he ceased to exist. It's a thing. Still don't understand the physics behind it, but sudden existence failure is still a known condition. Anyway, how's everyone doing? I hope your weeks are going well. Let's see. So the topic list is, to put it bluntly, a desperate cling at finding something interesting. I'd say I did okay. Not terrible, at least. We need to find... What's going to be the title on that one? Hey, there we go. But we have a few things, and I do need to keep it at least not super long today, so that I can get some other work done. But we'll see how that goes. And I'll tell everyone about, I guess, what I'm reviewing, because as far as I know, it's not. Actually, I guess I could search for that really quick. Let's see. Are these... Yeah, there's... Yeah, okay, good. These are not under embargo. So, I haven't really had a chance to try them, but I will talk about those. Okay, so, anyway, we're going to start off with, as sort of challenged by Hoopy, I'm going to start off with... Oops, I need to move these windows around so I can actually see what I'm doing. I'm starting off with the Google Find My Device feature that is definitely coming to the Pixel 8. It's, I think, safe to say, going to become tracking tags and probably about a dozen other related features. But we'll start off with the serious news, and then in a second I will absolutely take on the Hoopy challenge. I never talked about Afghanistan. Wait, what? you might need to give me a hint on what this is in reference to. Anyway, so the report, and this has been talked about a decent amount already, and it certainly has come up before this particular report, but we've been hearing about this for a while. Google is apparently trying to introduce a Find My Device feature to the to phones in general, but in all likelihood it's going to launch with the Pixel 8, and it will basically allow you, even when the phone is completely powered off, to track down a phone, thanks to basically an always-on Bluetooth signal. I also never talked about Laos. I need more context on this. I feel like there's a joke that I am missing. Anyway, so the rumor basically, as we've long known, Google is working on a tracking network, basically kind of like Apple's AirTag system, that would allow you to keep track of tracking tags. It would allow you to detect, presumably, when any sort of tags are following you. It would allow you to find missing and lost devices. I've talked about this a lot, at least once in the past, because I think the coolest thing that they could do with this is actually not tracking tags, as in Apple AirTags, but rather put this same technology into things that people lose all the time, like car keys, glasses. Basically, like think of any seniors that you've ever known who have a tendency to lose things. It's great for them. Imagine not having to attach an AirTag to something that is small, but still easily lost. That would be fantastic, and it would be so useful. So I'm a fan of this. I think this needs to happen. Obviously, it does come with some huge problems, as I'm sure every single person on the planet can tell you from all the news. Tons of stalking has been done with tracking tags, and my hunch before, as it is now, Google, I believe, delayed a long time, kind of waiting for Apple to either figure it out and somehow eliminate stalking, which Apple has thus far completely failed to do. People just stopped reporting on it as much. But, yeah, either Apple would figure it out or Google would make its best attempt to just be less of a failure at this than Apple was. Okay. Put a Bluetooth tracker on your grandpa. Okay, look, I'm just gonna say yes. Put Bluetooth trackers on the elderly. There is objectively no ethical problem with doing this. That is sarcasm, in case it is not obvious. Yeah, let's be honest. There will come a day when this becomes 100% a actual strategy. Putting small trackers into the pockets or onto the random articles of clothing or jewelry that some people wear will absolutely become a strategy for helping, let's say, Alzheimer's patients or people who just are prone to kind of getting lost. Hell, even a random sleepwalker. You never know. Let's see. Okay, Hoopy kind of agreeing. Fingers crossed there will be some level of cross-system talk to, at the very least, let Android and iOS devices have stalker notifications for the other system. Yeah, honestly, I think that is a requirement, because let's be honest, you can. So one of the anti-stalker features that Apple implemented on AirTags was basically they would start screaming through the speaker if anything, or if they weren't around their tracking phone for some period of time. Aside from the fact that is a really obnoxious attempt at a feature, and it doesn't really work that well. And from what I understand, it's also pretty unreliable. Like, I've heard a few stories that apparently they will start screaming just for no reason, or seemingly for no reason. And other times, it's the opposite. Like, they can be away from their paired phone for, like, a long time. And for whatever reason, they just never fire up. But the reality is, it's also so easy to disable the speaker. I mean, you just have to pop the thing open and disable a speaker. Like, it's not a hard thing to do. So, yeah, we're gonna need this to be basically all phones will just have to be able to detect this. It's the only good solution. Let's see. There's a running joke when the US pulled out and Cody was trying to become less controversial. I honestly do not remember this. Uh, not even a clue. There's so many AirTag accessories, so I really hope Google makes them the same size. Okay, so this gets into one of my strong theories, which is I don't think, well, okay, I do think Google will make some. I don't care if they're the same size. I don't think it matters even a little bit. In fact, I would even argue, please make them a different size. You might be thinking, wow, that's crazy. Didn't I just say, or didn't you, whatever, just say, it'd be great if they worked with the same accessories. Here's the thing. All the rumors have suggested Google is going to make this an open-ish standard. Either completely open or at least a very low-cost licensing situation. In either of these cases, the practical reality is somebody is going to make something that is exactly the same size, shape, and probably same basic feature set and virtues as AirTags. In other words, you're not going to need ones made by Google to fit the accessories made for Apple AirTags. Instead, you'll be able to use whatever companies decide to basically copycat Apple's design. Google doesn't have to do it, somebody else will. So yeah, I just don't see a reason to worry about that particular aspect. Hoopy, you think Google's gonna put a loop in it? Yeah, that would actually be, God, that would be so much better. The thing is, what I kind of expect, I know most of you guys were around for this, but I'm not sure how many people remember it, but how many people remember when NFC tags started, when they had their brief, like, 2-year popularity? For the first, I'd say 6 months, NFC tags were basically just like little cardboard chips. That's all. Nobody would make anything that wasn't just a little cardboard chip. And then around 6 months in, you started, well, it was a little earlier than that, but it was at about 6 months. Suddenly there was a proliferation of NFC stickers. The NFC stickers took various shapes and sizes, but generally speaking, they were still a lot like the cardboard chips, but in sticker form. And then at about a year and a half, all of a sudden, holy crap, there were NFC tags in any shape and size you could ask for. People were putting them into key fobs, they were sticking them into, oh my god, it was just an endless line. Oh great, I just got a very important email and it confirms what I needed to know. So, hooray. I won't go into it, but tomorrow will no longer be a very bad day for me. Or rather tonight through tomorrow. But I'll maybe share that information some other time. Anyway, so the big issue with that, or not the big issue, but the big virtue of this is, of course, you could start putting NFC tags anywhere. You could use them for all kinds of things. And you weren't stuck with just putting a sticker on something or burying the NFC tags in sort of weird containers or holders or whatever. You could just buy a thing that has an NFC tag stored or as part of its design, and it would actually just be a good design for it. I have a feeling we're going to get the same thing with trackers. I mean, this just makes sense. Put it into, for example, actually, I'll just use an easy example of this. Let's say that you are, you go buy some Bluetooth earbuds. Who's to say that the case and the earbuds themselves shouldn't just have NFC trackers built into them. Or sorry, not NFC, but Bluetooth. This actually just makes sense. It's an easy solution. It's an easy fix for a problem. Just start building that into certain things that always get lost. You could do the same with practically any electronics. It's actually not that crazy of a thing. Do you have, let's say, a gimbal? Little smartphone gimbal. Not to say that that's super prone to getting lost, but maybe it is. I don't know. It could just become a feature to a product that if you want to turn on a tracker, it could just be there. And considering most of these products already have Bluetooth transmitters in them, that's actually not that crazy of a thing anyway. So who knows? Maybe that'll just become a normal, regular feature. I'd like to think it will. Let's see. So, but yeah, it even down to just making trackers that have a more convenient shape, like putting a loop in them. Or I'm going to predict right now, one of the more popular things that's going to happen is basically like a thing that will be designed specifically to lock onto a bike. You don't need it to be an Apple AirTag. It can just be what is effectively a bike lock, but it just mounts onto the bike in some sort of design that really would make it hard, if not almost impossible, to cut off without a heavy duty saw or even a cutting torch. I anticipate there's going to be a lot of stuff like this that's going to come out, and it's a good feature. Okay, so Hoopy, I agree. We'll probably see somewhat expensive Google branded trackers that's mostly just on the Google store, maybe Best Buy and Target, and expect Samsung or Anker or whoever to provide cheaper. 100%. That is exactly what I see happening. The Google store is going to have these expensive, overpriced, probably slightly better designed for utility kind of trackers. Hey Carson, how's it going? Good to have you here. So yeah, the Google store is going to have these, and that's going to be a great feature for people who just need a generic first gen chip kind of thing. But hopefully this proliferates in a way where you'll just be able to make a bunch of various things trackable. Again, I really think eyeglasses for people who have glasses that they take off all the time. That's going to be so good. That's going to be massively helpful. I also, as I'm glancing around my room, like, what else would I say people need to have trackers on? Your car keys, like the key fob, I'm sure is going to become an obvious one. Maybe even, as people already do, like something that they can put on their keychain. And I would argue maybe that's one of the things Google should just make up front, is a keychain fob that's all you do. Like, it is just designed to be a fob for the keychain. No separate accessory, no goofing around with it. Just make one that is by its nature designed for that function. But who knows? We'll see. Let's see. Hoopy also said, if I recall, the most recent rumor was Google working with Samsung to build basically a tracker sans casing power supply, which feels like bait to pull in literally everything if it's really cheap. Yeah, makes sense. Alright, Hoopy, see you in a bit. Good luck on the meeting. Austin saying, oh, and that's a shame that you're taking off, because I was just about to get into, here's why they're not about to announce that. But okay, let's see. Mark this time. It's in a minute or two. I'll get to this, but say at about 28 minutes, I will dash all the hopes or make an argument. Again, I don't think this is going to happen, but I'll make an argument for why they're not actually about to announce these. Anyway, let's see. So catching up on comments. Austin saying, hope we can get an ultra wideband tracker API. Yes, I would love to see that. However, so the reason I want to see that is I think Google is going to make an interface for keeping tabs on the devices you're tracking and being able to add or remove them from the list, so on and so forth. Here's the problem with this, and I think it's a big problem. Google's interfaces for these kinds of things are usually okay, but not great. They're usually very tap heavy. You have to enter a lot of subscreens in order to get to certain information. Honestly, if somebody is using a lot of these, I think they're going to want a better interface. And equally, if someone is really only concerned with like one or two of them, I think they will want a different and better interface. For example, you know what Google is probably never going to make, but I think a lot of people will want? A widget. Like a simple widget. There's going to be the occasional device where, especially, okay, I'm picturing in my head a specific scenario. Senior citizen loses their glasses. Do they want to tap through the settings app into their list of track devices in order to find the thing that they are missing? No, they do not want this. This is the worst. This is the worst thing they can possibly try to do. It is a miserable experience if there ever was one. Don't make them try to do that. Instead, somebody sets up on their phone a widget or a shortcut, whatever, that all they have to do is open their phone, swipe over on their home screen to the second screen, because let's be honest, that's where most people will put it, and tap on a single button, and it's like, oh, you want to find your glasses? Sure, we will help you with that. Or your car keys, or whatever. I mean, people are going to want fast access to this for the devices that they tend to lose. And I don't have confidence Google is going to build that into its interface. So yes, I really think that they have to add a API so that people can build this experience for Google. I can't believe I haven't triggered any assistant devices. I mean, if that wasn't proof that Google is doing away with Assistant, I don't know what is. Snark. So yes, completely agreed. I think an API is vital for this. And for that matter, if I had any insight, I will say this right now, in all dead seriousness, if I had any inside knowledge that there was going to be an API, I would literally build the app right now to do all of these things. And then the moment that the API launches, I would just fill in the blanks basically and immediately submit that. Because I think there are going to be like a handful of really popular apps, probably not paid, but really popular apps where people are going to really, really love this. And there will be plenty of other garbage apps that exist, but hopefully a couple of really good ones. Poopy. If Google does release some, I know my family alone will probably buy a couple dozen. I don't even know what I would use them for, but I would probably pick up a couple of trackers too. The thing is, I don't lose a lot, but I could see throwing them into like my probably any bag that I carry, which is usually like my camera bag. Even though there's only half the time the camera's even in it. Yeah, I'm trying to think of things that I would attach a tracker to or stick one into, and I can't think of much, but I'm sure there's something out there I would do that with. Let's see, Austin, I have a feeling we'll see Apple put a gyro in an AirTag Pro that can connect to a line of custom accessories. Okay, and you're giving examples like a soccer ball or a football. Okay, so the idea here... I feel like I know what you're saying, but I'm gonna say this because I feel like it requires elaboration. Is the idea here supposed to be that it would be able to figure out the motion of the ball? As in, like, tracking how hard the ball was hit, how it's spinning, what directions it's spinning, so that you could analyze it for sports use? I feel like that's what you're suggesting, and if it is, I'm going to argue no. They will not do this. If it's really a goal or not. Okay, so I'm going to argue they're definitely not going to do this. Because so the reason I don't think they will do this is, one, AirTag location is not really that precise. The most you get out of it is directional detection, which is fairly precise. If you have a good set of transmitters. So if you're trying to detect whether or not something is a goal, first off, usually a ball ending up inside of a net is a safe enough way to make that assumption. But for the most part, there's already better technology for cheaper that can be used to determine if a ball or if some object has passed between two spaces. I mean, every store has this now. That's why they put up the anti-theft things, which admittedly those things are terrible. They're garbage. They actually don't work very well and they're easy to fool, but that's not the point. They can already detect something passing between those scanners pretty easily, and you could build that right into a goal. It would be very, very easy. You mean more like high school sports? Yeah, believe it or not, what I'm describing would be cheaper than using we'll call it an AirTag Pro. And in all fairness, a gyroscope of some kind would not really, it wouldn't really contribute to determining whether or not something is a goal. You could use a gyroscope for determining how something, not nearly as accurate as ultra wideband though. There's still easier ways to do this. And again, you would have to, like, for high school sports, what are you going to do? You're obviously not going to, like, tape a bunch of iPhones to a football goalpost. I mean, you could. It'd be hilarious. But it wouldn't really... that's not how you would do it. So you would need custom hardware for this anyway. And by the time you're doing custom hardware to do a football goalpost, honestly, you're already into the territory where the other technologies are better and cheaper. So I don't see that specific use case. Now, the version where what you're trying to do is track the motion of the ball, that I think is also a bit of a problem, because I mean, there's no real reason you can't do this with a little device that would be like an AirTag, and presume. By the way, we're going to talk about why that also doesn't work in a second, but there's no reason you can't put something that tracks the motion of the ball as it like moves, rotates, things like that. And you might be able to use that for tracking like how hard of a kick you got, how much energy is being wasted by maybe kicking it in the wrong place or orientation. This is something that is actually already done in a few sports, so that's not that crazy. Or it's not crazy at all. The thing is, generally speaking, a lot of those are already kind of custom designed things, and I don't know that an AirTag. Well, you're saying an AirTag Pro, and since that doesn't exist, we obviously don't know what it would be capable of. But the natural strategy for something like that is you need to have extremely high rate measurements. So any gyro would have to absolutely just grab hold of every like fraction, or about every, not even every millisecond. It has to be basically at the sample rate of audio. So, you know, we're talking thousands of recordings per second. And I don't know that an AirTag Pro would really be designed for that kind of usage. It could be, maybe, but I don't, you know, that's the sort of thing that it would have to be designed for, not necessarily just another feature of it. That's not to say they can't put a gyro in there. Maybe there's a good reason for doing something like that. Like, I know that this is a bit of a ridiculous, this is too simple of an answer, but I can absolutely see somebody saying that they like taped a AirTag Pro inside of their luggage, and because of that they can figure out what orientation their luggage is in, which might make it easier to spot. So yeah, I don't know, I'm just saying I can see them putting extra sensors into an AirTag Pro. I don't think that sports is specifically the use case there. It could be, but it seems like you need to make something more custom. Also, there is one other caveat. Where are you going to put the AirTag in a ball? I mean, if a ball has a little space inside of it for an insert, you're going, I mean, really, if it has space of it inside it for an insert, it's going to change the dynamics of how that ball spins and flies. So you can't do that. If you're going to put anything into the ball, it has to be able to go to the dead center, which means the balls have to actually be designed with whatever tracker is going to go inside of it. It has to be designed with that tracker in the dead middle, or at least in a correctly weighted position. I don't want to say dead middle in this case because, like, if no one's ever looked into this, look up bowling balls. Bowling balls are intentionally not weighted evenly in a lot of cases. So, you know, I could see a scenario where maybe you might want to put an AirTag like tracker somewhere off center because of this. Anyway, so yeah, I see that. Skimming down, I see this one. Insurance claims on packages. Austin, yes. 100,000%. That is where I could see a gyro and the ability to store data, like tracking data. And what I specifically see in my mind, actually, you mentioned tracking packages, or rather insurance claims on packages. I'm going to take it back to luggage. Imagine putting into your luggage a tracker that detects extreme falls. Like if something was damaged during your flight, imagine having tracking data that directly proves that it's on the airline for doing this. Like, there can be no question to it. You have documentation with something that is presumably locked to specific time, and it shows your package was damaged. It shows the exact location of the package, the entire, or sorry, not, I said package because I reread it as I was talking, but it would track your luggage through the entire process. It shows it getting onto the plane. It shows, hey, while they were loading it onto the plane or offloading it from the plane, oh yeah, it took a massive fall and landed in a really, really terrible way. This is on... Awesome, yeah, exactly. Flying Delta... Well, first off, Flying Delta, you do not check bags, ever. I've sat on the side of the plane before where I could see them loading luggage, and holy crap. It was like they were doing shot put with people's luggage as they were loading it onto the plane. Holy. It was intense. Like, if someone ever hid an animal in a bag or something, it would be killed before it ever made it on the plane. Delta does not treat baggage well. Anyway, so yeah, I can totally see a reason for an AirTag Pro to exist, depending on what functions it's capable of serving. I just don't think it's for sports. Or it could be, but again, you design something like this for sports, or you design it for your luggage, or you design it for whatever. Like, there's certain things that will be good at, but it won't be good at all of them. At least that's my hunch. Okay, so skimming down. What name would you like them to call the Google AirTag? Okay, I'm hating this. Pixel Pacers? I feel bad even saying that. Or Pixel Placers, but Placers sounds wrong. But yeah, pacing is one of the uses for the word pacing is to match the like pacing. Cops use pacing when they're trying to figure out your speed without necessarily using a radar gun, which this is a practice that for the most part is kind of dead. I don't think any cops do this anymore. But yeah, pacing was one of those terms for something that follows you, and that would be an incredibly unpopular term for this. Yeah, awesome. That's almost exactly what it's going to be. The Nest Locator. With God, I hope it's not actually Nest Locator with Google Find My. It probably will be, because their naming is so awful. Oh my God, their naming is miserable. But yeah, I could see that. But Nest Locator, actually, I think that's a good name for it. My question is, would it actually fall under the Nest brand or the Pixel brand? Nest, it's kind of wrong for Nest, but at the same time, I can see it. Like, it's not too weird that it would be under the Nest brand. But part of me also thinks Pixel, because this Nest. Okay, so I know that this isn't quite the point, but let's see. Stored on Google. I'm really quickly. I want to see how many things fall under the Nest branding. So obviously, under phones, there are no Nest branded phones. Under earbuds, I already know that they're all Pixel. Watches, we have Fitbit and Pixel. No Nest. We get into smart home. and it's, I believe, all either Google branded or Nest branded, right? Yeah, even a lot of this, actually, is there anything still Google branded? It's still, okay, the old Google Wi-Fi. Now they even have the Nest Wi-Fis. So, oh, and Chromecast. And even that still has the Google name in it. And the Nest Protect and Nest Lock. So yeah, okay. The reason I'm looking at this is all the portable devices are under the Pixel brand. All of the things that are supposed to stay stationary in your home, that is Nest branded with maybe a little bit of Google branding mixed in. Obviously we get into, well, they have a page for laptops. So, and that's, again, that's under the Pixel branding. Let's see, accessories. Oh yeah, this is actually a good page for it, because on the side, all of the things. Yeah, so as I look through this is the one reason why I kind of think that they might still go with the Pixel branding, because in my perception, and feel free to think of this the other way, because it certainly could be thought of the other way. In my perception, all of the things that are supposed to be portable are going to be under the Pixel brand. And I feel like the tracking tags, for the most part, are thought of as portable devices, even if maybe they're meant to stay in the home in some cases. That feels like, it just doesn't feel like that's how they are generally used. Austin, you think it's going to be Pixel branded even though the Nest team is making it? Actually, I didn't realize the Nest team was making it, so that might be a reason for it to still be Nest. Even if by my own logic. Code Grogu, yes. That is a name. Also, hey Diablo, how's it going? Good to have you here. So, yeah, right now I'm gonna go Pixel branded, but Nest certainly is a possibility. Let's see. Awesome. Maybe if it has iPhone compatibility, they'll avoid Pixel branding. I know. Okay, so I'm gonna put. Stick with me on this. Stick with me on this. They could go for the ultimate worst branding possible. They could drag out the other name, Chrome. It can be the Chrome tracker, or the Chrome cookie, if you will. Come on. Tell me that you don't want to go to the store and buy a Chrome cookie. And people will want to get rid of those things just as much as they want to get rid of cookies now. Tell me that this is not the best, worst idea ever. Chrome cookie, I mean, it's both a great name and a terrible name. I mean, tracking cookies are notorious. Oh my god, I want this to be a thing now. Somebody needs to make a tracker, well, either a tracker or a tracker accessory that literally just looks like a cookie. This is just such a perfect metaphor. I want to find a company that makes dumb, kitschy stuff and talk them into making this. Because I think only semi-sarcastically, I think this would actually be a genius idea that would sell super well. Because people would eat this up for just how cringy it is, which is also what makes it so good. It would just work. Oh, Diablo, the concept one for the G-Spot. So, did I tell you guys about this? I used to work for a winery, and the first letter of the winery's name, it started with a G. And so, the owner, or sorry, not the owner, but the winemaker's girlfriend, came up with a joke about, if I understand the story, or rather if I remember the story correctly, it was the tasting room, and she once cracked about some guests had come and found the G-Spot. That had been, and that quickly became her nickname for that tasting room. Anyway, they then proceeded to make t-shirts that read, "You found the G-Spot." I actually still have one. I don't know where exactly it is. It's a very beat up shirt. I've worn it a lot. It was one of my, like, wear around the house just trash t-shirts that I wore all the time. I feel like I should go find that. But yeah, that would be a hilariously awesome and terrible name all in one. I would kind of love it though if they actually did sell G-Spot trackers. I mean, who would not want that as the big joke? And I'm feeling it now. There will be absolutely some Etsy things. It would be exactly. It would be hilarious. They need to make G-Spot trackers. Do you hear that, Google? You need to make G-Spot trackers. So, dear God. If there was ever a time that, who was it earlier that said that I was trying to be less controversial? How's that going? Diablo, yeah. Find my device. Found the G-Spot, honey. Yeah, that'd be so good. So, yeah. I don't know what they're gonna call them, though. I feel like the word tracker has too many bad connotations. So I don't think they're actually gonna go for that. They could go for... Tag has been used by a few of the companies. A beacon. Okay, so I would love beacon to be it, but there is a problem with beacon. It's already in use. Let's see. Those, what were they called? The location beacons that you could put inside of, like, stores and things like that. Those are already... I mean, it's not that multiple things can't use that term, but I kind of feel like they are going to try to avoid having two different things called beacons, even though Google doesn't make any of the other kind. Let's see. But yeah, otherwise that would be a good term. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any other things jumping to mind about this. And I think maybe one of the bigger questions, Google Tile. Please no. Please no, that would just definitely be bad. It calls to mind too much of the actual company Tile. Or whatever that company's name is. Let's see. I suppose they could do something though, like, you don't want to call it key. You don't want to call it... Oh! Oh, God. I think I know, and I kind of hate it, but I also kind of like it. Google Lost and Found. I mean, it sounds kind of bad, but I kind of like it. Google Lost and Found. I mean, it... Oh, Carson. Oh my God. Google Keep. That's great. Google Keep is seriously terribly perfect. It's a much better name than the actual, or it's better suited to the trackers than it is the actual current Google Keep product, which technically has been renamed to Google Keep Notes. So you could argue that's kind of appropriate. But yeah, Google Lost and Found, God, I hate it, but I love it. It's actually, it's quirky, it's fun, and it fits. Like, it actually describes what the product is for. I want that. The more I think about it, the more I think that actually would be the best name for it, which means there is zero chance that that's the name Google will use. Google Lost and Found. Huh. Okay, so I'm trying to think of other sort of metaphors for things that you keep with you or keep around you. Part of what's kicking around in my head is they could also name it something like Google Chain or Google Wire. But these wouldn't really make as much sense. They don't sound right. But I'm thinking about like a chain, like people used to have wallet chains, for example, which thankfully that's kind of a dead practice. Thank God. Or you know those I can never think of what they're called, but those like little rollout things that people attach badges to. They're always the spring-loaded roller, so you can grab your badge, pull it out, like stick it up to a reader, and then when you let go of it, it just spins back up. And, yeah, whatever those are called. I see a metaphor for something like that being good. Pixel Spot. Also, hey David Llama, how's it going? Good to have you here. Pixel Spot. Okay, it's dumb, but some part of me also is thinking, could they play on the pixel name in another weird way, like a dead pixel? A dead pixel would obviously be a terrible name, and not even clever. Like not even joking is it a viable name. It's just actively terrible. But I'm wondering if there's some way to spin off of that. Some other term related to pixels that would be a good one. Pixel Spot was the old blog name. Nice. Oh, wait, okay, here's kind of a weird idea. And it is really weird. But what about playing on the aspects of like... Oh! Wait, okay. So I feel like I have two really good ideas for names, but not necessarily for a tracker. First off, Google should absolutely find a way to use to name something a subpixel. I don't know what it would be, and it's occurring to me that would have been actually a surprisingly great name for the watch. You know, you've got your Pixel phone, and you're wearing your subpixel. Like, that would actually be kind of clever and great. And I don't get me wrong, Pixel Watch is a fine name. I've got nothing against it, but Subpixel would have been weirdly hilarious. The other angle on this is maybe picking one of the actual Subpixel colors. They could name their trackers like Pixel Blues or Pixel Reds, something like that. Pixel Reds actually is probably about the best one. I don't think it's great. Nowhere near nowhere near Google Lost and Found, but or Pixel Lost and Found, or even Nest Lost and Found, whatever. Ooh, Nest Lost and Found. That's good. Nest Lost and Found. I think we named it. Boys and girls, we have named it. That's got to be it. Nest Lost and Found. Like, it plays on all the right elements. Oh, damn it. Wait. Oh my god, I have. Oh. Another one. Nest Egg. Nest Egg. I hate it, but I love it. To be fair, that also just ever so slightly sounds like an adult toy, but Nest Egg would actually be kind of a neat one because it's something you want to keep. It follows the Nest branding. It would follow the shape of the tracker to some extent. I mean, hell, they could even like put like the logo on this thing could actually be an egg. Just call it the pixel tag and be done. I mean, that's probably what they're gonna do. But I love the idea of coming up with. Now, the more I'm thinking about this, the more I think a dumb, kitschy name would make this so much more fun. By the way, for what it's worth, and I know that they're not going to do this, but I really do kind of hope that they don't just make a tracker. Sorry, I'm kind of leaving behind the naming conversation now, but I'm hoping that they don't just like when Google makes this product. I hope it is not just a tracker. Pixel Finder. Yeah, actually, that actually does work. But yeah, I'm hoping that they do something like, I don't know, sell trackers that aren't just a tiny little disc that you stick into your bags or whatever. Sell something that has use, function. Maybe not a lot of function, but like make sure that there's an edge that can be used as, I don't know, like a screwdriver. You know, and not even a Phillips head, just a flathead, you know. But make it durable enough on one edge that you could use it as a flathead, or I don't know. I'm not sure, but there's just give us something more than what the Apple AirTags are. Give it some purpose to exist in the world other than just being a thing for tracking. I'm hoping that they do this. I kind of don't think they will, but you know, it's a thought. Okay, so built-in razor blade. Oh yeah, that goes so well on an airplane. Yeah, they would totally let you on airplanes with this. You'd go through security and they'd be like, "Sir, why do you have 12 razor discs in your bag?" I swear, I just use them for tracking things. "Sir, are you confessing to also stalking while carrying dangerous weapons onto the airplane?" No, I swear, I use them so I can keep track of my bag. Sir, we're gonna have to ask you to step aside. But yeah, anyway, so what else? Oh, so an hour into this, and I said I was going to try to finish early today. And this is still the first topic. Dear God. Okay, so I did promise, for Hoopy's sake, that I was going to make an argument for why they're not actually going to announce the trackers at Google I/O. And here's why. This I fully admit, I don't believe this. I think they're going to announce them at I/O. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. The reason that they might not launch or announce, the reason they might not even announce trackers at Google I/O is because I think they're going to, and again, I don't actually think this, I'm just devil's advocate here. I think that they might just want to announce that this will be a feature for the Pixel 8. It will be on the phone. You'll be able to find the phone at all times using ultra wideband, Bluetooth, whatever. So it will initially be a feature for the phone, and then a few months later, at let's say the Pixel event most likely, then they will make a formal announcement for the tags. So, you know, this will be, they'll pre-announce just the feature, and then and it will be presented as a thing for the phone. Diablo, it would stink if it's only for the 8 initially. Okay, I'm saying it would be announced for the 8. I think by the time the 8 launches, they will then have the trackers out, or they will announce the trackers in the same announcement. So it wouldn't really truly be for the 8 initially. The premise, and I am fully 100% just taking Hoopy's exact words and arguing that it is entirely about the announcement of the trackers. I think the announcement of the trackers will not come until a Pixel event, but the announcement of the feature might happen at I/O. So that again, this is a devil's advocate argument. It is not in any way serious. I think if they're going to announce this stuff, it actually makes a lot more sense to announce it at I/O, and then not release the product until the Pixel event, at which time they'll announce that the phone will in fact actually have this feature. But for the sake of promotion and hype and everything else, I could see Google talking about this as if it is a big deal for the phone, and they'll do it just to get hype. It literally is just for marketing purposes. And then they'll flip around and just launch all of it at once, because it makes more sense to do that. If anything, actually, what I would worry more about is that they're going to try to be friendly with their partners. Cough, cough, Samsung, cough, cough. But friendly with partners and basically let them sell their own tags before Google launches its own. I'm hoping that they don't do that. I think that would be kind of obnoxious. But if they decide to, then, you know, there you go. They could go that route. Let's see. Austin, I guarantee they'll announce it if they can work AI into the announcement. God, it's sadly true. Let's see. So Samsung would connect their current network of tags, right? Why would they not? See, I know that you didn't mean that with the same inflection that I just read it, but That's how I am choosing to read it. Honestly, yes. Here's the thing. I think Samsung, in a different set of scenarios, this is about to become a really, really sketch argument, but it makes sense to me. I think in a different set of scenarios, Samsung would absolutely not want to connect their network with Google's. And the reason for this is theirs will just, without question, it's going to have, at least for a long time to come, way more devices, way more usage. This is a thing that Samsung, at least among Android devices, just has a much bigger, like, huge advantage, both being first to market and just genuinely having so many more devices. That said, there is a reason that they won't do this, and it is because of Apple. Or sorry, there's a reason they will choose to hook up to the same network, and it is because of Apple. The reason they're not going to want to, or the reason Apple is an incentive here, is because ultimately what Google is doing is they're putting something out that is going to become a standard effectively. It is going to become a standard that Samsung, Anchor, and all the other tracking tags make or are compatible with. Because for everybody else, let's be honest, Samsung is the only one that has an incentive to keep it to their own thing. Samsung and Apple. And between those two, they are the overwhelming majority of phones out there. So they both have their own incentives for doing this, for keeping it to themselves. But in practical terms, Samsung is losing to Apple in the overall market share, at least in the US and in a fair number of other countries. The thing is, if you take this at the other end, where the scenario that exists today, Samsung isn't really going to beat Apple in this space. So instead, what they can do is join forces with everybody else, and it's going to incentivize, or it's going to pressure Apple into joining the alliance too, or being at least as compatible as possible. So it is in Samsung's best interest overall to have the larger network, basically just collaboration on this thing. And Samsung will still sell tags. They will still outsell everybody else on tags, because of course they will. But this gives an opportunity for Samsung's tags to actually have effectively wider adoption and wider support. And being part of a group that all these other companies are part of will ultimately be more beneficial to Samsung than it would be harmful to its business. So yeah, I think Samsung's best move is that. Whether or not that's what they do, we'll see. I hate to be pessimistic about that, but we'll see. Austin, you're fully prepared for 2 hours of AI buzzwords. Austin, come on, man. You are underestimating so much. Just the announcement is going to be 2 hours of AI buzzwords. You're then going to have 50 blog posts from every single place where Google posts blog posts. Every single one is going to talk about AI. Every single one is going to include tons of buzzwords. It's 2 hours of listening to a Google keynote with AI buzzwords. It's going to be 6 weeks of reading one blog post after another, talking all about AI and how AI is going to make every single feature of every Google app better, and how they're going to fit in who knows how many different things. I mean, let's be honest. As I'm quickly skimming down through the Google apps on my phone, I'm just looking forward to how they're going to put a Google AI chatbot into Fit, the Google Fit app. You know it's coming. There's going to be oh god, how about Google One? Let's make Bard a special feature for Google One subscribers. That's coming. Hey Supersonic, how you doing? Let's see. Oh geez. Hey, how about it? Oh yes, this is a must. We need a chatbot in the Play Store. Yeah. So let's see. Okay, I need to skim back up a little bit and find, here it is. Austin also said, I think Samsung absolutely will, because Tile partnered with Amazon Sidewalk. Yeah, that is another factor in this. It's, if Samsung's not going to partner with Amazon for this, then they need to, they don't need to, but it's to their benefit to find somebody else to partner with. Also, we don't actually know that Google's network is going to be limited just to phones. Apple's is. It's all about the iPhone, and the iPhone location is really the big factor there. But we don't know that Google isn't going to make this a part of, let's say, every laptop that they sell, well, I think it's safe to say it'll be part of all the tablets. But what if it became part of all of their Nest devices? Or at least some of them. Honestly, like, Amazon Sidewalk, yes, has a lot of reach, and as recent reports show, like crazy, creepy amounts of reach. But so do Nest devices. There are a lot of Nest devices out there, especially cams and doorbells. So obviously the original Nest thermostat is probably even more prolific, but yeah, there are a lot of cameras and doorbells out there. There's really no reason this can't be a part of those. And a lot of other devices too. So we'll see. I wouldn't really put it past that. And it would be enormously beneficial to Samsung's ability to sell its own trackers if it's part of this ecosystem. Depending on how expansive Google makes it. The Home app still has a long way to go. Can't wait for the Nest feature parity. Oh, wow. Yeah. Seems like they're never going to get there. Interesting. So, let's see. Diablo said, also Google can force right if Find My Device is built in. My understanding, I don't know if this is accurate, but I believe that this is a feature that can be turned off intentionally. I don't know that it is on by default, but I assume it will be. But I know that they can, or I don't know it for sure, but I'm pretty confident you can turn it off if you want to. Let's see. The Apple app to find road trackers is crazy. I don't know if it's still this way, but I would say crazy bad. When it first launched, it was a disaster where, like, the only thing it could do, you had to turn it on. And it could only search when the app was open. And I think I don't remember if it even had like an automatic, like, continuous search. I think you had to press a button or something to ping to see if there were any air tags around you. Something like that. It was really dumb. I mean, I get what I get it, but they did a very lazy job with that. I assume by now it's probably been improved, but I'm not expecting it to be great. Um, Austin, you feel like Tile is the biggest player outside of Apple. I honestly don't know if it is, but I assume it. Well, I know for sure that they are a big player. Um, but are they as big as Samsung's tags now? I honestly don't know. Um, I know Tile is a big player though, which I assume is probably why they wanted to make a point of partnering with Amazon. Where did that fall? But yeah, either way, I'm sure without question the three biggest, and I figure three biggest is significant enough. The three biggest for sure is Tile, Samsung, and AirTag. Not in that order, obviously. But let's see. Awesome. I'm not so sure Tile will switch to a Google standard, or they'll switch when it's too late. Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. That's why I think Samsung, well, another reason why I think Samsung would join up with Google's thing, because it legitimizes it. Because let's be fair, as much as Google has had a bad history with trying to get everybody on board with this, with the so-called standard, the reality is Google does have a history of being fairly effective at pushing the standard. Or at least reinforcing standards once they're in place. So for example, the Bluetooth beacons that they were using for location stuff, while we don't hear much about that anymore, that actually is a standard that Google pushed pretty hard. One could argue USB-C, in many ways, that was actually kind of a thing Google was pushing very, very hard. It was obviously going to happen anyway, but I would say Google did play a part in making that happen faster. Also, not for the best, but that's a separate argument. So we'll see. Anyway, yeah, the thing ultimately, I do strongly hold to the belief that if not immediately, very quickly, Samsung is probably going to want to be a part of this arrangement. And with that said, also, all the rumors suggest that Samsung's probably going to be making the tiles for Google. So if that's true, Samsung's definitely going to be part of this equation anyway. I think they're just going to want to be. And it also, Samsung and Google have been so buddy-buddy lately. I mean, all things considered, like, that is just, it's kind of common sense. Like, they just need to be, they need to agree to work together. Okay, so anyway, Hoopy, the real question is, will assistant be every other word, or will Bard? So my hunch is they're going to say assistant a few times, but kind of going along with my previous, the RambleCast from last week. I think assistant isn't dead or going anywhere, but it's no longer news. It's not a talking point like it used to be. I don't know for sure, but I bet if you go back over even like the last Google I/O, I bet they didn't mention assistant specifically very often, unless they were like announcing a feature that was specifically appearing in assistant. I think they probably just generically said AI a lot more. So yeah, I think we're going to be hearing Bard. It's going to be a whole lot of talk about Bard. Hoopy also, I'm telling you, assistant powered by Bard as a Pixel 8 timed exclusive. Oh yeah, 100%. I don't even consider that anything in question. I don't know that they're going to do that this year, because Bard still is kind of a disaster. But, well, I don't know. It's April. Maybe by maybe by the time we're in September, October territory, they might feel comfortable doing that, but I'm kind of hoping that they don't. But we'll see. Also, Hoopy, did you catch my little devil's advocate argument for why they won't launch the tags at Google I/O? Because if not, technically, I can tell you that happens at about time. It's very short, so I'll just reiterate it. But technically, I did make the argument back at about an hour 5, I think. I should have made a more specific call out. But my devil's advocate argument was basically taking your wording, which was specifically that they're going to announce the Bluetooth trackers at I/O. My theory, again, I don't believe this. My theory is that they're going to announce the ability for the Pixel 8 to be found when it's turned off. They'll tease it, they'll do it for marketing purposes, but they won't actually announce the trackers. The reason being, they want all the attention to be on the Pixel 8 feature. And then, so they'll pre-announce the feature. And then wait until a few months later when they actually do the Pixel event. They launch the phone, and then side by side with the phone, which will, people will have already talked themselves to death about the phone being able to find itself. Or, the phone can be found even when the power's off. At which point... Oh, crap, I did forget to bump down the music. Sorry about that. Really? It's actually loud enough to do that? Oh yeah, I guess it kind of is. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, my logic on this is that they'll basically wait until the Pixel event and then launch the trackers side by side with the phone. So they'll come out at the same time. Everyone will have the ability to search for devices and trackers within the ecosystem at least. And yeah, it basically, it's a little bit nitpicking your language, but it's calling out the announcement entirely. Let's see. You don't buy the argument just because Google announces Pixel 8 will do an iPhone feature, but worse because no trackers is a bad thing to angle for. Well, again, the idea here is they just basically do a quiet leak, actually a pretty loud leak of this feature, but do it at Google I/O. Like, they pre-announced features for phones before. This isn't new. So, and obviously, like, anyone who's remotely paying attention already knows that Google's got trackers in the works. Every single person is going to hear this and go, oh, well, that kind of confirms that they're going to launch tracking tags at the Pixel event. They just didn't get announced. That would be the thing. Like, anyone who's remotely smart already knows what's coming. The trick here is they're literally just pre-announcing a couple of features for the phone. So they could hype up the camera, they could hype up the ability to be found when it's turned off, and I don't know, like one or two other features. Basically say, give the whole spiel of how excited they are for that phone to come out, how great it's going to be, what they're working on, stuff like that. They can pitch this stuff without it being a full proper announcement. And I don't see that being bad. Let's see. Hoopy. Also, just I/O makes sense if they're doing it as an open standard and want to do a talk on how the system works and convince OEMs to include it in their devices. Again, and I want to reiterate also, I'm just making a devil's advocate argument for this. I don't actually think this is what's going to happen. But, you know, I feel like there is an argument for how it makes sense. It's not how I believe it's going to go. I'm just acknowledging maybe this is attacked. That it's funny to me because that sounds like the word attacked, but it is also the two words a and tact. Interesting. So let's see. Really quickly skimming back up because I kind of skipped over a bunch of comments. David Lawman said, "Can't wait for the next messaging app, but with Bard built in." Oh, please no. At least no auto response. If it just fills in responses for me, fine. But please no auto response. Poopy, I thought the Find My Network also worked with iPad and Mac. It does. It's not particularly great when you're hunting for a Mac, but it does work. Diablo, the home app, still got a long way to go. Yeah, okay, I did read that one. Diablo, yeah, for sure most people would not turn it on. They probably won't even know it's a feature. I think people will know that the Google's Find My feature, I think they will know that's an exist, or that's an exist. I think they will know that the Find My device will exist because when you set up the phone, I think it's probably going to have a screen that just directly prompts you, please turn on the Find My device feature, and while you're at it, turn on this other thing that keeps the Bluetooth transmitter working even after the phone is turned off. I don't think you'll be able to get through the setup of the phone without seeing this. Let's see. Poopy, I believe Google's Find My device is on by default currently? ? I think it is now, but I think it's only fairly recently that became a default. I could be wrong, but I believe it only became a default, I want to say like 2 years ago, maybe 3. It's pretty recent. I mean, the Find My device feature has been around for 8-9 years, something like that. But yeah, for a very long time you had to install the app, intentionally turn it on, even though the function was built into Google Play services, but you had to specifically install the app and turn it on for a long time. Now I'm pretty sure it is just on by default. Actually, I'm 99% confident on that. Because even though I do always install the app and fire it up when I'm setting up a device, I don't think I have actually seen a prompt to explicitly turn it on in ages. So yeah, it should just be on by default. Let's see. And yeah, also to Hoopy's point too, it probably will be on by default, but it seems to be I imagine it would be a thing that you opt out of, not opt into. It could go the other way around, but you never know. We'll see. I could imagine maybe if they catch a lot of flack from privacy advocates, there's maybe some chance that they won't turn it on by default, or they might maybe have someone nagging them about power usage when the battery or when the phone is off or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing out some possibilities, but yeah, it probably will just be on by default. Let's see. Diablo, your cousin got scared one time when you tried Nearby Share. So yeah, Nearby Share, before that, I remember the tap to send stuff. I can't tell you how many times I tried using that with people and it never worked. tap to send or whatever it was called was so unreliable, so bad, and plus it was disabled on Samsung phones by default for so long. It was impossible to use. Let's see. So skimming back down, kind of catching up. And so yes, also Hoopy, your argument, and I do agree on this, but if they are going to announce the trackers as an open standard, wait. So open standard, I don't think they need to announce it at I/O. I think they are probably, for an open standard, they are probably contacting all of their partner companies and saying, hey, here's a thing that we're building. You should, yes, Android Beam was the name of that. Thank you. I get it. It's not that bad of a name, but it's not a memorable name. Anyway, I think Google, if it's worried about making it an open standard, they can just contact partner companies and say, we're building this thing. We've already got these other companies on board. Would you like to be part of making these two? We're giving you advanced access to it. And then after that, they could casually announce it at I/O, but they don't need to for the hardware partners. The reason to announce it at I/O would be for software developers. And if they're going to make the API open, then it makes total sense to pre-announce it at I/O. Well, announce or pre-announce. Whether or not they're going to do that, we'll see. That's the catch. That is the thickest, densest we'll see, because Google is real hit and miss when it comes to showing off APIs for things that aren't out yet. They have done it. They did it for Android Auto. They did it for Google Glass. They've done it for a few other things, but for the most part, they really haven't done a whole lot of, like, here's a full how to do a thing. But sometimes they do. And so it's hard to say. That being said, like I said before, I really hope that they open the API on this, because there are going to be a lot of use cases that regular people should have, and I don't think Google's going to build for those. Let's see. Could be on by default just because it's hard to imagine they won't want to turn currently active devices into network devices. Okay, very notable. Nothing is stopping. Okay, so there are three things to separate here, because these are all three separate things in this discussion, or in the implementation. There's obviously regular Find My Devices. Phone is on, being able to find your device from another device. That is one thing. It's on by default now. It's a normal feature where, it is what it is. And so as long as the device has internet access, you can basically track it down using another device. There is the ability to be tracked while the device is powered off. That involves the Bluetooth transmitter to still be functional and powered even once the device goes offline. And not just offline, but like actually fully powered off. And then there is the ability to be part of the network. You do not have to be a transmitter to receive the network, or to receive Bluetooth, basically broadcasts, the beacon function of any of these things. So a device does not have to have its ability to transmit while turned off. You don't have to have that enabled for that device to still be part of that mesh network of things that are constantly paying attention to where devices are located. So I don't think that's actually an issue here. I think definitely by default, that is going to always be on. I'm not sure you'll be able to turn that off. Which hopefully you can to some extent, or maybe it like just won't always be operating when devices are not connected to a Wi-Fi network or something like that. I'm not sure how much data usage this will take, but I would worry that maybe that'll get a little bit too much. Anyway, yeah, so I'm holding to the strong thought that we don't need to worry about devices not being part of the network. I think by default, all devices that can be will be. And you might have to actually go through more extensive links to disable that. But whether or not a device itself transmits when it's turned off, that I think is a little bit more maybe left up to the setup process. It makes most sense to leave it on by default for the setup process, but you never know. Tap to send was awful. Oh Lord, getting nightmares. Yeah, Android Beam, God, it really was terrible. Let's see. You're curious on the extra dot for the 8 Pro. Yeah, I still don't know what that is. I think we had I think there were some good theories. I don't remember too much about it right now, but I do remember there being some theories about that were interesting, at least. Hoopy, I'm imagining the I/O tracker partner pitch is not for Samsung and Qualcomm, but for Bellroy and Bose. Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I don't know that they need to do that at I/O. If anything, I know this sounds crazy, but they probably get more traction from blog posts or just doing a special interview with The Verge. They could do a whole lot of stuff that is not a Google I/O. And to that point, we've discussed this a number of times. When Apple does a keynote, you will see it. You will see it on the news. It is everywhere. Your evening news station, your local news station, might actually show clips from an Apple keynote because that's a thing that they have crafted those keynotes to be. Google keynotes don't get that treatment. I mean, it has happened, but it's rare. Google very rarely shows up on the evening news. Google very rarely shows up in like even like the investor like TV segments and stuff like that. Or if they do, it's really, really fast moments. I think Google would get more traction. Like if they're doing this for, like you say, Bellroy and Bose, if they're doing it for them, those companies are probably going to be happier if Google just posts something to their YouTube channel, does an interview with The Verge, and promotes it a few times on the Google homepage. Oh, I looked ahead and I shouldn't have seen that. Poopy, let's see. Here's how to make a Google tracker and more. Here's Google trackers made by Samsung. Please put them in your stuff. Yes, maybe. I'm not advocating on the side of thinking that it won't happen. I'm just playing devil's advocate that it might not happen. And that Google specifically has some incentive to not announce the trackers at I/O. At least if they're not releasing them. And that is also kind of a key part of this. If they're releasing them before the Pixel event, then yes, they'll announce them at I/O or whenever they release them. If they're going to wait to release them until the Pixel event, then I think they're going to wait until the Pixel event to actually announce them. So And that one I actually do kind of think might happen. I would lean a little bit more on the side of they'll wait to, if they're not releasing them, they're not going to announce them early. But it does make sense, some sense, not necessarily a good idea, but it does make some sense for them to put out the news that the phone will support this feature. Almost a billion Android devices sounds good to me. Yeah. Poopy. Oh, you know what's an interesting advantage to Google's network over Apple's? Google's network will probably include an increasing number of cars just chilling in parking lots and garages. Yeah, that's actually a great example. I was thinking of Nest devices, but yeah, anything that's running Android Auto, or sorry, Android Automotive, or Google built-in. God, that is such a dumb name. They need to burn it with fire. But anything running that, 100%, those are all going to be part of this network. Not only that, but they will all be actually devices in this network that you can also track, I imagine. You'll be able to know where your car is if it's ever stolen. This will be the new cheap version of LoJack. Let's see, Diablo. Which, may I just say, I hadn't really thought about it as much before, but I really would love the idea, because more than once in my life, I've always been pretty good at remembering where my car is parked, but every once in a while, you kind of do lose track of it. Especially if you're just parking in a city you've never been in before, or worse, like, you park in you park in a place that you can leave from multiple angles and get back into from multiple like sides or angles, and it's disorienting by nature. Kind of like when you're leaving the subways in San Francisco. It is so easy to pop out on the wrong street and kind of get lost. So in the same way, like, this would make it so much easier to find a car. I want that now. Let's see. Anyway, Diablo. I like the videos. They're now just putting out how to use a Pixel Watch. They need these day one to entice people. Yeah, actually that's entirely too true. I could understand if maybe a few of the things that they're doing with the Pixel Watch, like the videos, maybe a few of those might be spawned by watching how people are reacting to the watch after like 2 or 3 months. So it makes some sense that maybe a few of those things wouldn't have already been videos. But yeah, they do need to be better at putting out some videos up front so that people have something that they can point to. Austin, someone give Sundar a bump and have him scream AI, AI, AI when opening the I/O keynote. Okay, that's what I laughed at earlier, and yeah. Also, can you imagine Sundar yelling anything? Can you imagine him talking even remotely outside of a perfectly level tone voice? This guy is so controlled. He makes Tim Cook look like he's feral. Tim Cook acts like a feral animal compared to Sundar's just perpetually emotionless speech. Pass him a microphone and it would still be quiet. Yes. You could amplify Sundar to the point that he is louder than a monster truck rally, and everyone would still be going, "Oh, I could fall asleep to this." Half the crowd's literally snoozing. Oh, Sundar, you know what? If I ever get a job at Google, I'm gonna get fired so fast. I'm sorry, buddy. You're fine, but IO presentations are just kind of really snoozy when you get to talking for more than a few minutes. Anyway, just saying, please find someone who's a showman. Find a showman. Put a showman up there. Not the guy that everyone wants to hear from for investor phone calls. He's not the same person who should be up presenting Google I/O. Anyway, and also to that point, Austin, Hoopy, no. The guy who literally can't speak is probably a no. Diablo, I hate it, but I actually agree. We need another skydiving IO. If they launch some new AR VR glasses, well, AR. If they launch some AR glasses, I will be furious at them if they do not find some excuse to do that, to do another skydiving bit. Let's see. Hoopy, you'll be able to know where your car is without waiting 17 minutes for the Chevrolet app to open. Yikes. Oh, let's see. Carson asks, who's my favorite IO speaker? Okay, so first off, that is a bit, it's almost, oh crap. Damn it. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I had to double check the name because it's been a while since I've said it. If we're asking my favorite Google I/O speaker, and I'm going to cheat because I'm going to include anyone who has ever spoken during an I/O, or, yeah, I think he spoke at I/O. Maybe that was a Pixel event, but I'm going to cheat and use anyone who's ever spoken at a major Google event. Mark Lavoie. It's cheating, but Mark Lavoie. Because that guy got up there and basically told off a bunch of people. And he was a blast for that. Second up, and in a much more serious one, Diablo hit it right on the head. Chet Haas. Chet Haas is awesome. The guy literally takes improv classes, or used to. I don't know if I doubt he still actually takes the classes. But he literally took improv classes so that he could be a snarky speaker at every opportunity. And I've talked to him before. He's a funny guy, really interesting guy, and he's easily one of the best speakers that they've had up there. Let's see. And in all fairness, if you can put Chet Haas and Ramon Gee on the stage together, those two play off of each other perfectly. So, I mean, if you're putting two people up together, they top Mark Lavoie just barely. But I will slightly put Mark Lavoie above Chet Haas if it's just Chet Haas by himself. And Austin, yeah, you just hit the next name I would have said. Well above Matias Duarte, by the way. Dave Burke, I think, is actually a really good guy on stage. He comes across as actually pretty personable, more of an engineer than engineer meets human more than an executive. And that, I think, is what really sets him apart from Rick Osterloh. Rick comes across as more of an executive, and Burke to me is just a chill. He's a chill guy who knows he kind of conveys to me the mindset of, all right, today my job is I got to get up on stage and talk about this thing. All right, cool. I'll go talk about it. And that's just the way he seems to approach the stage and giving a speech. And he's not so relaxed that you get the impression that he doesn't care, but he's relaxed enough that you get the impression that this isn't really that big of a deal to him. Rick is fine. I got nothing against Rick. Just he feels more like an executive to me than he does an engineer who's just talking to people. Okay, I'll get to what Hoopy said in just a second. Let's see. So Matthias is okay as a speaker, but you can tell he doesn't like to. I get the distinct impression he really doesn't like to. And I think he's even said that. I know he's even said apparently that he doesn't like how much everything got attached to his name at one time because people are getting creepy about it. Which everybody knows. But yeah, I think so yeah, Matthias is fine. Rick is okay. There's nothing wrong with him. Just like I said, very executive like. Let's see. So far, by the way, all of these people I put above Sundar. It might sound weird, but I would say all these people are definitely above Sundar. What else? Who else? Trying to think, because there are a few other faces that I've seen several times, and I'm trying to think of their names or what's her name? She's not my favorite by a long shot, but what's her name who always does the Google Play stuff? Anyone who's watched enough of these, and especially if you've watched the What's New in Google Play developer sessions, she always speaks at those, and she's good. She's really good, but she's also one of those people that I feel like she's only good for maybe half a session at most, and then something about her, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but she comes across with this sort of too much energy quality, kind of like an inspirational speaker. That's what it is. I feel inspirational speaker from her, and it's good for a little bit, and then becomes a little heavy-handed. Hoopy suggested it's a missed opportunity if they don't have a meme and have Dieter do a review of the 7A at I/O. Oh man, Dieter Bone would be funny in some way, shape, or form. Dieter Bone would be pretty amusing. I think it would probably be seen as being in poor taste if they did that. I would think it's funny, but I think there are people out there who do not appreciate that. That being said, I do wonder if they're ever going to get him to get up and speak, because they should. He's a decent speaker. He did pretty well on videos from The Verge. I don't see a reason they wouldn't have him. So yeah, honestly, the really smart move is they actually should. I don't want to say parade him out there, but yeah, they have him. He's supposedly part of some of these products that are coming out. So yeah, he should probably do something. Let's see. The Android Dev Relations VP. Can't think of her name either. Let's see. Android Dev Relations VP. Are you okay? I'm pretty sure this is not who you're talking about, but this is who comes up on LinkedIn when I search for that. Maru Bauza. Huge apologies if I'm saying that name wrong. I have no idea how it would be pronounced. But she's Director of Developer Relations. So let's see. Stephanie Cuthbertson. Yes, that's who I was thinking of. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Yep, that's the one. Oh, wait. No, hold on. Yeah, here we go. Wait, is that the same? Did she move? Yeah, it looks like she moved. Huh. Well, good for her, certainly. Today, HubSpot announces that Stephanie Cuthbertson, that is not a name that rolls off the tongue, will be joining our executive leadership team as Chief Product Officer effective October 4th, 2021. She joins us from Google, where she spent 8 years leading product management, design, and UX in Google Ads and Android. As HubSpot's Chief Product Officer, Cuthbertson will lead our product management, product design, and UX research organizations in close partnership with our engineering team to build the #1 CRM platform for scaling companies. Congrats to her. But yeah, again, a lot of times just had that very distinct motivational speaker quality when she got up and talked for too long on stage. A lot of energy, but a lot of that, like, telling you what you need to do kind of energy. But yeah, she was actually a pretty damn good speaker on stage, so gotta give her credit for that. I would easily put her above Matthias. Again, no offense to Matthias, just, you know, I don't think he liked being up there. Yeah, I had no idea she left. I'm as shocked as you are. The article that I just read said she was at Google for 8 years, and she had joined HubSpot at the end of 2021. So she's been there for a year and a half. Means she joined Google about or almost 10 years ago. Diane Hackborn. Okay, Diane Hackborn, I'm not going to count as a speaker at I/O because I don't believe she's ever actually been like a presentation speaker. She's just been part of the firesides. Though I could see counting that if you want to. That being said, she is funny because she does not have a point where she doesn't have a stopping point. I'm sure she censors herself somewhat, but holy crap, Diane really is all about the it is this way, I'm telling you it's this way, and F you if you do not see it this way. Has Hiroshi ever spoken? I know he has at Pixel events. So I'm going to say I will personally count that. Even if it's not an IO speaker. I don't think he's ever spoken at IO, or if he has, it's been a while. Oh yeah, that's right. He used to, yeah, he did speak probably at some much older ones. But yeah, I know he's spoken at some Pixel events, so I would count that, even if it's not an IO speech. I don't really remember how he was as a speaker, though. I think he was fine. I don't think there was anything bad about him. But from what I recall, I feel like he had that executive thing that Rick has too. They feel like they're just executives on stage. Not to say they don't know their stuff. They obviously do, but it's a different feeling. Oh, I just looked down in the RambleCast chat room on Discord and saw Hoopy mentioning speaking of card companies and software, went to schedule a service appointment recently, and what in the world is happening to that page? That is a lot of ad. Wow. Anyway, Hiroshi gives less executive vibe than Rick. Okay, it's been a while since I've heard him, so I don't quite remember, but again, Rick to me feels very executive. Hiroshi, yeah, I don't know. Rick, maybe Hiroshi is like at that halfway point between Dave Burke and Rick Osterloh. It's hard to say. Anyway, let's see. It's funny because somehow we never actually managed to really properly leave the first topic. And yet the stream's been going for a little over 2 hours. This is how the show has the name RambleCast. It is an earned reputation. Let's see. At this point, I almost want to say we should just stick on the IO topic and run out the clock. The only thing is, IO it's a month away. I am sure we are going to be talking about IO so much in the coming weeks, and certainly the week of, and probably the week after, and possibly more weeks after that. Yeah, we're going to be talking about IO plenty, so possibly we'll want to hold off on spending too much time on it right now. And I think we've worn out the tracker saga to its extremes. So let's talk about other things where naming is a big disaster. Oh, there's no way not to talk about it. HBO and Discovery, they are officially, well, I think it was already officially confirmed that they're renaming their streaming service to Max. Apparently they did confirm the reason for this naming choice is because they want it to be more family friendly. They want to highlight their broad selection of shows for kids and families. Yes, kids and families. So yeah, apparently the big deal here is we really want you guys to remember that we also own Cartoon Network and Looney Tunes. So please do not forget that, just because all of your HBO stuff is here too. And the follow-up comments are not positive. I love it. Yeah, so they're renaming it Max. they're raising the price, and they took their events and decided to name off all of the new things that they're going to be launching in the near to distant future. This is honestly, when you see things like this is how you can tell that people in this industry never left behind the drugs of the 70s. But okay, so first off, I just feel like calling out the fact that in their explanation, the explanation for the name, they basically said that they want to give more visibility to their kids and family oriented stuff, whereas HBO, let's be honest, HBO has a reputation for nudity, violence, drugs, and other adult topics. And boy howdy hallelujah for that. But if you're not like me and don't necessarily appreciate all of those bits of content, then you probably do welcome the idea that there's some kids and family stuff. So as they one of their PR guys, or I don't know, oh, he's CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, really? Oh yeah, he is. Anyway, he said HBO is not TV, HBO is HBO, which, yes, that is a bastardization of their old motto, but or old slogan technically. But yeah, so apparently the way that he says it, quote, it needs to stay that way, which is why we will privilege it in the product experience and also not push it to the breaking point. What that says to me is you're probably going to open the new Max streaming app at some point, and there will probably be a page dedicated to HBO. It'll basically be relegated to its own page. And seeing as they're going to do, let's see, I think it should be mentioned in this article. Since it is a, they're basically promising that the app is going to get a lot better. I assume one of the things that they're probably going to do is have basically kind of a recommendation page that's going to be the front and center thing. And if you watch mostly HBO content, all of that stuff's probably just going to get surfaced to there. If you watch mostly kids and family stuff, then that's what'll appear there. We'll see, but that's kind of what I'm expecting. Let's see. The price is going up. In case you haven't heard about this, it's going to be, I believe, $20 a month for, let's see. Yeah, it's up here. Yeah, $20 a month for the 4K HDR Dolby Atmos content. It will support offline downloads to some extent. It says 100 offline downloads. I'm not really clear on whether or not that means that you can pre-download 100 things, or does that mean that there are just 100 things at launch day that can be downloaded for offline viewing? That could go both ways. Anyway, apparently you can have 4 concurrent streams, and so yeah, that'll be that. Let's see, the $16 per month will be HD quality with 2 concurrent streams and 30 offline downloads, and the $10 a month plan is going to be ad supported, and it'll include HD quality content and 2 concurrent streams. So now my mind immediately jumps to, which am I going to get as an AT&T grandfathered plan? I don't care about the 4K. I don't need this. I don't need the $20 a month plan, but I definitely want it to be at least a $16 a month. Because if I start getting ads, I'm going to be livid. Um, let's see. So yeah, hopefully that's a thing that doesn't change. In general, though, um, I'm really, really, really hoping that they if they're going to raise the price, they need to actually raise the amount of content that is being added to the network, because taking a bunch of stuff away was not a good look, and unless they're adding a whole lot to replace it, I'm not seeing them doing too well in the eyes of subscribers. Because as good as HBO is, and I will say HBO is pretty good, let's be honest, they got a fight coming with Disney. And the news has not been good enough that I think they're in a position to fight Disney very effectively. But yeah, anyway. So, yeah, I mean, this is an announcement. It happened. I don't think that they're really... I don't think that they're really telling people what they want to hear, especially with the name. I mean, Max is... It's just such a generic, flavorless name. I get why they're doing it, but I think whoever came up with it just... They came up with the most generic milquetoast, meaningless name, and it is going to ultimately be seen as a mistake, and they're going to shoehorn some other name onto it in about 2 years, when they realize that the Max name has zero name recognition. It is completely unsearchable. Also, they don't mention, and not that this is the biggest deal, but they don't mention what web address you will go to if you are opening the site in the browser. Because I don't know that they... I have a feeling that they don't own max.com. But even if they did, I truly, truly hope that they're not going to try to use it for this. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, really quickly catching up on comments. Hoopy, I got an email telling me HBO Max is becoming Max, and that I'll still be billed via Google Play. Yeah, I don't think anything was supposed to change there. Instacart co-founder owns @Max handle. Oof. Now I have never used Google Play to pay for HBO Max. Oh, okay, well that is more of a problem. Oh, your account is permanently free. Well, congrats on that. Diablo, all the Last of Us people hopped off. Not sure what you mean. Carson asking the same question as me. What is the grandfathered AT&T free HBO Max plan going to be now? Like I said, as long as it's the $16 a month, I'm fine. The $20 a month would be great. If it's the $10 a month with ads, I'm probably going to yell and scream about that into the void, because no one will care or listen to me, but somebody will be mad at me. Oh, Carson, with actually checking the address, yeah, they already bought max.com. Wow. That's, I wonder how much that cost them. Does the current ad-free HBO Max plan not do 4K? I do not know. I never checked. I have a 4K TV, but I don't think I've ever made a point of trying that, and I don't think I have any streaming boxes hooked up that do 4K. I guess, well, okay, I do have the on 4K, so I could try it. But maybe I'll give that a try at some point. I think that's the only streaming device that I have that does 4K though. And I haven't plugged that in quite a while now. So let's see. Carson saying got his from Google Fiber, or Fiber in general, whatever. Poopy, I have 4K HDR with HBO Max now, but as said, my account is in a deeply weird place. True enough. Yeah, Carson, so exactly to that point, you watch some episodes of The Last of Us and you're not really sure if it played in 4K. That's the thing. Very few TVs tell you that whether or not they're getting a 4K signal. In fact, I don't know offhand, I can't think of any that actually give you a clear, definitive way to tell that you're getting a 4K signal. And if you can't tell, if it's not telling you this explicitly, a lot of people don't actually know. They can't tell. Every once in a while, like if it's a 1080p signal and you can view that side by side with a 4K signal, you can tell. But just from watching something over a streaming network, you probably can't. So yeah, I have no idea if HBO currently does play 4K. I'm assuming it does, but I don't know. Or rather, the grandfathered plan. Sorry, that's what I mean. The grandfathered plan from AT&T. I don't know if that is 4K or not. From the RambleCast chat room, Austin said a few minutes back, can't wait until these companies start putting ads on their self-driving car info screens. Look, let's be honest. If you are a BMW owner, your existence is basically to be advertised to about BMW products and services anyway. So, just saying. And anyone who's bought a car in the last, say, 15 years, you probably have come away with a bunch of trial services for like terrestrial radio and subscriptions you can get for your car maintenance and all kinds of other stuff. Let's be honest, buying a car these days is no different than visiting some tech news websites and getting hammered with ads and auto-playing videos and whatever else comes along with visiting any such site. On that note, you can come find my reviews at Austin with a link to what is this gonna say? Eligible unlimited plans. Does it say anything specific here? I'm not seeing anything specific about what the service level is. Oh, community forums. Anything interesting here? No, those are all too old. Oops, I did not mean to click on that. But I like how on AT&T I've got a Capital One ad for absolutely no good reason. Really, AT&T, you're not taking enough of my money. You need to show me completely irrelevant ads. That makes total sense. Let's see, Carson. Did anyone else notice that they used Hermione instead of Harry as a face of the Harry Potter franchise on the page? Yeah, actually, I did notice that. Which I casually avoided making my snarky comment earlier, but I still hold to the theory that if HBO is going to do a full reboot of the Harry Potter series, in later seasons, let's be honest, they're probably going to have an adult scene with Hermione. It's cringy, it's creepy, but let's be honest, they did it. They literally did that with Game of Thrones. I mean, who did not? Did anybody not notice that they made a very adamant point of having Maisie Williams topless in the was it final season or second final season, whatever? I mean, come on. That just felt a little too obvious and on the nose. But yeah, Diablo Daniel doesn't want to come back either. Warner Brothers is sweating. I don't think Warner Brothers cares. I'm pretty sure they were going to recast the entirety of the Harry Potter series when they do this, especially because none of them are kids anymore. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if most of the main cast doesn't want to be involved in the new thing, because Emma Watson's doing fine. Daniel Radcliffe, I would say, is actually doing better than okay. They don't really have any reason they need to come back and become pigeonholed into this franchise. So yeah, I doubt they want to have much to do with it. HBO's being sketchy about their language about free HBO switching to Max. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I honestly, I think that as soon as the business partnership separated, they like really, you could tell AT&T really wanted to get rid of the free HBO Max feature as quick as possible. And when I called them pretty recently to have a couple of lines taken off my account, oh boy, they tried. Boy, howdy, did they try to convince me to get rid of that grandfathered HBO Max feature. I mean, it was a push. So yeah, that's a thing. I'm pretty sure they would love to get people to leave that behind, but it's not happening that easily. Sorry, guys. Anyway, just to quickly run through it. Oh, and Carson mentioned a lot of the older casts also passed away. Yeah, that's entirely true. Also, what is this? What is this? So AT&T Help says, let's shed a light on our HBO Max feature. HBO Max is currently retired, hence we do not offer it anymore. However, existing customers on eligible unlimited plans can stream HBO Max. Check out the eligible plans and steps on how to sign in and stream here. Yeah, sure. If this does not help, let us know the plan that you are currently on if you received, or if you recently got the plan upgraded, and if you have previously streamed HBO Max, we can better assist you. Yeah, they're clearly trying to avoid answering the question. Hoopy, honestly, I'm kind of wondering if that's what might end up happening with a lot of these. Because if things get drug out long enough, you never know what's going to happen. Okay, so really quick, also just to hit these, they also pre-announced some new shows that are coming. Obviously, we talked about the Harry Potter thing. So let's see. They also mentioned DC's The Penguin, because apparently the DC TV franchises were at least successful enough that they decided, sure, let's do that. And there's nothing like doing a good series about the villains. They're apparently they're bringing back something related to the Big Bang Theory. Okay. And I know a bunch of people are angry about that. Who cares? If you don't like the show, you don't have to watch it. It's not like they're abusing children or something. Which, by the way, there are like 6 shows on Discovery that were basically about abusing children. So, you know, let's actually take things into perspective here. a fresh take on The Conjuring, which, okay, whatever. Let's see, they also have franchises like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, which I feel like that one's worth calling out specifically because it's really hilarious that Amazon just had a Lord of the Rings show, but in reality it's HBO Discovery that could, or well, Warner Brothers Discovery that could actually do the real Lord of the Rings content again. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, the Game of Thrones, honestly, like, I'm surprised that they don't have another couple of shows already rolling out. It's weird that it's taken them this long to get House of the Dragon out. And frankly, they probably should be monopolizing on that more than they do. I'm also going to take a stance that please end all Superman content. That just as a favor to me. We're done with it. Let's see. So, Carson, I bet the back end is a disaster. It always is. Also, I'm thinking of some very inappropriate jokes that spin off from those words very easily, and I'm not making them. Let's see. Hoopy, successful enough, or they're just in if we make enough shows, something will work one day. I mean, that is the NBC strategy. But no, I don't know. I mean, HBO is still doing some good stuff. They're still making Barry, though. Actually, isn't the final season coming up? I think. There's but they're obviously still going to be making The Last of Us. They're still either making or going to be making a lot of pretty successful shows. So, I mean, they're not doing anything too bad, and everyone's strategy is to some extent, let's just try throwing random crap against the wall. Let's see. Oh wow, I just had an optical illusion where I thought I saw something crawling up the wall. But it was just the way I have some stuff leaning there. Let's see. Diablo. Netflix threw poop on the wall. Time for HBO to try. Fair assessment. Diablo. Would HBO try for a new Uncharted with their PlayStation arrangement? My first answer to that is yes. My second answer to that is definitely. My third answer to that is I can't believe they haven't already done it. And my fourth answer is they probably have, they either have a challenge with or don't want to do this immediately, though, because they just did the movie. I don't know if you saw the movie. It came out in, was it 2021? Let's see. Uh, 2022. Okay, more recent than I thought it was. But look, if you're gonna go to the cost of casting Tom Holland, Antonio Banderas, and Mark Wahlberg to be in a movie, look, you're already in it. Like, that's your money is spent. And you're probably not going to immediately throw that away. Even if it probably should have been thrown away because the movie was just very eh. It happened. It was okay. But eh. Let's see. This was, I hate IMDb's pages now. Production companies. Do any of these spin off of Warner? Nope. Okay, so that is kind of the one catch. I don't know if they have the rights to Uncharted right now because because Columbia already did it. Or is Columbia under Warner Brothers now? I can never remember who owns what. Okay, so Sony owns Columbia. Yeah, okay. In which case, Sony could decide to set up a partnership here, but they're not going to. Not unless Warner Brothers Discovery offers them everything, like so much. That's the only way that I think that this happens. They might do a show somewhere in the distant future, but yeah, I'm pretty sure we're not going to see that until Poopy. Sony's going to set up their own streaming service. You know that would actually be, I think, their third streaming service, and it would be their third one to fail. So yeah, I'm skeptical here. I think it's certainly a possibility. I'd like to see them do it because, look, I don't want to talk too much trash about the movie because it wasn't terrible. But I'd like to see somebody try to do this again, but right. Just saying, do it again, but right. Because it just did not feel at all like Uncharted outside of this scene where he's falling from the plane. Like, that actually happens in the game or something like it. Oh no, it was falling from the train? I don't know. Anyway, he fell from something in a scene that looked almost exactly like that. So we'll see. Hoopy. They've got Uncharted and they've got anime. Spider-Verse comes back to fight another fight for them. Yes. Sony's already teasing other shows, right? Yeah, the movie wasn't terrible, but it could be more. Yeah, it was fine, and that's the most that can really be said about it. Also, not that it's all that important, but I also just noticed, and I didn't realize it before, but Tati Gabrielle is in this. And for those that haven't watched the show You, she is obviously a very prominent figure in seasons 3 and 4. So, yeah, good for her. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I could see them doing Uncharted as a series for sure. Honestly, it would probably be way better as a series, but I don't know that they're going to do that. So, oh crap, I need to close that before YouTube spots that video and decides to mark it as a content violation. Because seriously, that has actually happened before. So let's see. Anyway, yeah, that's actually a thing. There are a couple of old videos where I was showing YMCA. But it actually did happen. I got a couple of content violations on a video once where I showed the movie page, and with no audio playing from a trailer, but a trailer's video just kind of playing in a small part of the window, YouTube picked that up and noted it as a thing. And several weeks later, like, I wasn't even going to bother fighting it. I just figured it was too dumb. But several weeks later, I got another message saying, "This has been released, you're okay." And it's like, oh, well, good. Thank you. Carson, did Twitch ever get back to me? Nope. Technically they did, sort of. It was, I don't remember how long it was. I think it was 10 months or so after the ban. Maybe it was more than that. It might have been a year. I'd have to look. But yeah, after the ban, it was like 10 months to a year. They sent me a clearly automated email saying that the suspension or the ban stands and basically tough luck. And it was clearly an automated email. Like, nobody looked at it. No one cared. So, yeah. My opinion of Twitch remains, actually has only really gotten worse over this time. And the funny thing is, I haven't even gone to the Twitch website in a year, probably more. I don't watch anything on there. I don't frequent it at all. So as I see it, they're just basically actively losing out. Let's see. Austin also pasted in a screenshot that said, The Lord of the Rings of Power, which is the most expensive show in the world, costing a whopping $450 million, or closer to $700 million if you count the $250 Amazon paid for the rights to Lord of the Rings. However, only 37% of users in the US completed watching it. Yikes! Also, from what I understand, and I didn't look into this, but it seems like they're not misreporting, but underreporting, is that Amazon paid for those rights, but they didn't get the actual Lord of the Rings rights. They got rights to basically all of the side content that is part of, I always say this name wrong, but the Silmarillion, whatever that other like accessory book is to Lord of the Rings. So they got to mention some characters, they got to mention some stuff, but my understanding is that they're not actually getting to cover the actual Lord of the Rings story. So they spent a lot of money on something some people care about for sure, but most people don't really care to watch. And as it stands, like, I feel no compulsion to watch this. And something that I've said in the past, and I don't think I've said it here, but honestly, I think they made a mistake picking that franchise to spend anywhere near that kind of money on. And I think that for the reason that Lord of the Rings just doesn't make... It's not attracting people like it used to. If you go back in history, like, Lord of the Rings was one of the biggest hit franchises because everybody at some point or another heard about it or read it as a kid. It was really well known, well respected, and everything like that. Show me how many people still encourage kids to read those books today. It's just not as big of a thing. And it, this isn't to say that there's anything wrong with it, though I know there are some people who will argue there is. It's more that reading books, first off, has kind of dropped off in general. And Lord of the Rings is kind of, let's be honest, it's kind of a slog. The Hobbit was really, really good at this. It had good pacing. Lord of the Rings was not nearly as well paced, and it has kind of that, like, it's like reading the Iliad. Not as bad as that, obviously, but it's on that path where the pacing is kind of slow, it's tedious, and it also kind of has the Game of Thrones problem where there are just a few too many characters. So, Hoopy, Lord of the Rings has hardcore fans, but the kind of hardcore fans who get pissed at inaccurate adaptations of the source work, which this series was almost exclusively consisting of. Yeah. And also, just in general, like, what is the demographic of the hardcore fans? I mean, like, I'm not trying to crack on it, because obviously there are people who don't fall into this group, but the vast majority of hardcore fans at this point, 35 and older. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good group of people. But 35 and older is also, it's leaving out a lot of people. That's a whole lot of people who aren't interested in watching this. there certainly are some younger who are. There are plenty of hardcore Lord of the Rings fans who are in their teens. But is it meaningful numbers? Not as much. It just isn't. And again, that's not a crack on it, but the reality is, even something like Harry Potter is just generally going to appeal to that audience more. And there's a large audience out there of people who don't want fantasy anyway. And Lord of the Rings has just sort of, I mean, it's not that I think there's anything worse about it. I don't think it's gotten any worse. It's just the audience of people over the decades has shifted in such a way that if you're a Lord of the Rings type of person, you have other content you might just prefer over Lord of the Rings now. And you might not, you honestly could even have a lot of stuff that you can watch over Lord of the Rings. So it just doesn't feel like it was worth this. But yeah, anyway, that's my take on it. I think they made a big mistake spending so much on it. Dave Llama, free Cody. As it turns out, that is a thing. You can find me in included in 1 out of every million Happy Meals. No purchase necessary. You must send a what is it? Postage paid envelope to blah blah blah. You get the joke. Anyway, Carson, yeah, it is a shame though, because Twitch, yeah, it's got the original RambleCasts and the Last of Us 2 playthrough. Not to mention, I think there was an original Last of Us playthrough on there too. But let's see, Austin. Yeah, the Tolkien estate refuses to sign any more of his work. They only did this because Jeff Bezos was pushing for it. Yeah. Well, and Bezos or whomever was willing to negotiate for the book no one cares about. So, yeah, in large part, I think I'm sure the estate was willing to, because of the amount of money, I'm sure they were willing to accept it. And if someone comes along someday, if, you know, I'm just laughably going to say, if Elon Musk were to turn up someday and say, here, I'll give you $2 billion just to own the rights. Screw everything else, I just want to own the rights. I bet they'd take it. They'd take that. They'd be okay with it. It's not like the copyright matters anymore. So yeah, I feel fairly confident that the Tolkien estate would be happy to give that one away and just walk away from it. But yeah, that being said, after the last set of movies, I can understand why they don't really want to sign it away. Let's see, Hoopy, the biggest Lord of the Rings fan I followed, tweeted after the first episode, Tolkien is spinning in his grave. Oof. Yeah, I believe it. I haven't watched it yet, and again, I don't feel any compulsion to. When I do get around to watching it, I'm sure I will watch through the whole first season unless it is truly abysmal. But the thing is, I also don't care about this being, I don't care that this is a perfect representation of the original content. It's fine. I mean, it's probably good that if it follows it closely enough. But I also don't really care if I don't really care about this being either respectful to that in like a purist kind of way, because especially I never read the Silmarillion. I know I'm saying that wrong, but I also don't know Silmarillion. Yeah, I don't know how. I'm not even sure where to put the emphasis on that. And I'm not going to try anymore. So it is the accessory book from here on out. But yeah, so I don't care that much. Silmarillion. Interesting, but ew. That is a messy name. So yeah, I'm holding on to the point that I think this was just a mistake for Amazon. Funny that we're talking about this when the topic was originally HBO. Anyway, so let's see. Close that. But yeah, it's the story of the Silmarils. I'm assuming that's a joke, but I honestly don't know. Because again, I never read it. I did try once. I think I got like 6 pages in. And if I remember correctly, it basically just starts by like in paragraph form describing a big family tree. And it does this for multiple pages. And I got so bored just in that little bit, I quickly decided, nope, this isn't for me, and I moved on. You're not a fan of Tolkien's writing either. Here's the thing, I liked it in The Hobbit. Like I said, I think The Hobbit was really good. I did not have a big affinity for Lord of the Rings. I don't know that if I'm being honest, I don't know that I ever actually finished reading it. Oh, it really is the story of the Silmarils. Wow. That is a choice. I don't know anything about the Silmarils, so that's a thing, but yeah, I guess I just don't know enough about Tolkien. But yeah, it wasn't the writing that worked for me. I did better with like Douglas Adams. I did better with there were a lot of D&D books that had some really great writing. Some that I would even still like to go back and either read or reread today. There were so many good books out there, and Tolkien, while I get that the story was good, technically, the writing was tedious. And it just didn't register to me nearly as well. The light in the bottle Galadriel gave to the hobbits is from Silmaril. Oh, wow. I don't know that I can ever watch this. You're actually convincing me to not read or to not watch The Rings of Power. Austin, you would love a Hitchhiker's Guide series. Me too. An actual good Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. And I'm gonna hit with the topic some people might not like, but I'm just gonna say it. If there was first off a TV series a long time ago, back in the early 80s, evidently. I didn't realize it was that far back. It's a British series. I'm just gonna say people who watched it apparently loved it. It was, I guess, actually pretty respectful to the books. So, yay. Then there was this catastrophe. It had great people. It absolutely had great people. But in 2005, they released Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, starring Martin Freeman. Let's see. Wait, are they... Oh yeah, sorry, I always forget. Mos Def changed his name to Yassine Bey. But yeah, that Martin Freeman, Mos Def, Sam Rockwell, Zoe Deschanel, a few other people. Stephen Fry popped up, and yeah, they had others. But look, they had a really great cast list. This should have been an amazingly great movie. They screwed up so colossally on this that anyone who is a decent fan of the books should have hated it. And I didn't hate it, but I was real unhappy with it. And it's really a shame because Martin Freeman was actually the perfect cast for Arthur Dent. And yeah, actually, I would even kind of maybe defend Mos Def as Ford Prefect. And look, I love Sam Rockwell, but if anybody watched this and saw what they tried to do with Zaphod Beeblebrox, if you saw what they did with Zaphod Beeblebrox, and if you read the book, like, you know, they just outright got it wrong. Just period, end of discussion, completely categorically wrong. So, and they got a lot of other stuff wrong. They literally ended the book in a completely wrong way. So, yeah, just saying, they needed to do that movie better. So, let's see. Koopy, if I recall, Adams was partially involved with the movie and by all accounts enjoyed the script, but he was also the kind of guy to call the canon version of the story, whichever one you were looking at the moment. Yeah, that would be kind of him. Remember, this is the guy who wrote a 5-book trilogy because he got roped into it. He's the kind of guy who just made fun of everything because it was fun. And who doesn't love that? Yeah, Douglas Adams was great. Let's see. Austin, you saw the first movie, then read the books and loved them. Yeah, the books are so much better too. Let's see. But, I mean, just for example, like the movie... Did anyone else notice the movie does not make a big deal about a towel? It's actually like a critical issue in the book. It actually has relevance to the storyline. And they don't even explain why you need to have a towel. They messed up. Like, that is one of the most fundamental jokes in the book, and they basically missed it in the movie. Let's see. He basically wrote a story for... You read the books and saw the movie, liked them both, but always aware that the book is really different from the radio play source. Yeah, and the radio play source, I forgot to mention it, but yeah, I've heard a little bit of it. I think I might have it on a hard drive somewhere. I think I actually have the audio from their radio version. But yeah, he basically rewrote the story for each version. Yes, that's true, but... I'm sorry, I think they did the movie wrong. So yes, I would love to see them do a new TV series that is properly honoring the books. Look, if they did a pretty good job of honoring The Last of Us on HBO, so if we can give HBO access to the rights for Hitchhiker's Guide, I would really support that idea. Out of curiosity, what are the production companies? Hitchhiker's Guide production companies are Touchstone Pictures, Spyglass Entertainment. Touchstone Pictures, who owns that now? Distributed by Buena Vista. Okay, so this is probably a Disney thing. Koopy, the movie is definitely the weakest of what you've seen. Yeah. Yeah, 100% agreed. Touchstone Pictures. Yep. American film production label of the Walt Disney Studios, founded and owned by Walt Disney Company. Yep. Okay. So, maybe we'll see this on Disney Plus someday. I would accept that. Give me a Disney Plus version of Hitchhiker's Guide. I will watch that. It probably won't be as respectful of the original content, but I'll take it. I'm not against that. But yeah. So let's see. And it's 6. I did not actually think I'd be streaming this long. Especially because I kid you not, I came in with 3 topics. Done 2 or 1? Wait, yeah, I've done 2. HBO and... Oh, no, sorry. Okay, then I came in with 4 topics. HBO Max rename, which was... I thought was just going to be a, 5-minute make fun of the rename and whatever. And then, obviously, the... being able to find your phone when it's turned off. These... How did some 5 to 10 minute topics become 3 hours? This show earns its name, I'm telling you. Okay, so all that said, I do kind of want to try to start approaching a wrap up. So I'm going to tell you what the 2 remaining topics were. One of them I'm just going to make a point of not actually talking about this week, and maybe not next week. But in a desperate attempt... plus I'm going to quickly tell you what I'm also about to review. I need to get some advertisers. Yes! And speaking of... We've had many conversations about Sony today. So Sony, if you would like to sponsor the RambleCast, please reach out, get in touch. I'd be happy to work with you. And then I will also say nice things about your upcoming movies, even if they're mediocre. Just say 42 and end the stream. I might. Okay, so anyway, one of the topics, I'm just gonna tell you. I have to tell you, one of the topics, because it's unavoidable. But I'm also going to kind of conveniently avoid it, in a sense, by not actually talking about it. One of the topics is Elon Musk dumbassery. Basically, for those who don't know, Elon Musk has decided... or moved his company to or moved Twitter to the company name the company name X, or X Corp, whatever. It's been moved through a couple of his holding companies, which, if you look at it, it reads like a shell game where somebody is literally the whole which cup is the ball under, move around a bunch of cups and stuff like that. It's stupid, but I feel like there's literally a scam in the works. To go with that, there's the whole Substack drama, where this is real. Apparently, if you search for Substack on Twitter, it would actually literally give you responses with the word newsletter as your primary search, and would not actually produce Substack results. He was marking them as unsafe, which, here's the thing. I'm going to take a moment and point out this other detail. There are a lot of people who got really defensive of Substack because Twitter did a bad thing, and you're not wrong. Twitter did a bad thing. But it's important to know Substack is not exactly an innocent company in all this. Their company is actually kind of really well known for the fact that if you've been paying attention, they basically have been funding a ton of hardcore right-wing anti-trans articles. Mostly anti-trans, but also a lot of other hardcore right-wing stuff. And they're really funding it. Like, some of the most highly funded people on Substack are some pretty extreme right-wing people, including some serious, like, election deniers, MAGA people, etc., etc. Like, I'm just saying, Substack not exactly winners in this, so marking their links as unsafe is not entirely wrong. But at the same time, the way they did it, totally wrong. And yes, we even have the crackpot Looney Tunes are going out of their way to pick on anyone who is trying to hold Twitter to task. So, yeah, things are bad. And of course, there's also this whole drama with NPR, where NPR has also been marked as a quote-unquote U.S. affiliated media, and I believe that was then changed to state affiliated media or something like that, which these are labels that are basically known for propaganda networks, not for news organizations that just simply receive some amount of money from the government. And I was also going to pick on the fact that, yes, Twitter is actually more funded by the government than NPR has ever been. Twitter receives way more money from the government. And yes, Twitter should actually be labeled state-funded media. But I have decided not to talk about any of that. And instead, I'm going to make fun of the other thing that a bunch of Republicans got all angry about in their underwear up in knots and twisty ties. The Xbox power saving features are rolling out this week. For those who don't know, and yes, I'm not actually going to spend more than a couple minutes on this, but for those that don't know, somehow missed the news when this first happened, or rather when it was first announced, Microsoft is going to be rolling out a relatively lightweight change to how it does updates and power saving and things like that. There are going to be two effects to this. First, you will have a thing called active hours, where the Xbox basically starts itself up. It is powered on, booted, and so on. And when you want to play, you tap a button and it's basically instantly on. And it will just sip power during this time period, and that's it. It will then shut itself off, and that's it. Like, that's it. It just shuts itself off during the other hours. No big deal. It's just a power saving feature. And that's great. That's what it should do. It really is actually what it should do. That's kind of neat. And presumably it will also obviously come with a better experience because you don't have to wait. I don't know how long it takes, but they say something about it taking 45 seconds to wake up if it's fully shut down. So yeah, I mean, if you really can't sit through 45 seconds of waiting for it to boot up, then hey, this is a doubly great feature. Congrats, Microsoft. The other part of this, and it's the part that Republicans seem to get really angry about, is that it will also have a feature where it tries to do its update process during times when you're probably not going to be using it, but also very specifically, it tries to pick times where in your region it's using, it's using green energy. It's using renewable forms of energy. That's it. So Republicans got mad about this. I don't know why, but they're really dumb. People who get mad at stuff like this are non-functioning brains. Sorry, they are. Carson coming in here with the try to keep Cody talking longer attempt. Yeah, I don't have much more to say on the Xbox thing, but just simply put, yay, that's actually the smart thing to do. It's hard to believe anyone is angry about that. But okay, anyway. So Snapchat may soon get dark mode on Android, but for paid subscribers. I don't feel like reading the whole article. I don't think I'm going to be rewarded by doing that, but I am going to say this is such a dumb thing to do. And it is such... This is kind of one of the things that I felt was going to happen when Elon started doing the whole thing of locking features behind a paywall. And YouTube, honestly, I think YouTube kind of started this first. There's not much else to the article. Good. Okay, then I won't even try. But YouTube kind of started this first with like locking background playback behind a paywall. Look, if you're going to charge users a monthly fee for something that you program once and never have to do again, you're probably doing it wrong. I get the incentive. That's a nice way to make some money, but you're probably doing it wrong. And this, to me, is a screaming example of doing everything entirely wrong. So I don't know why they would do this, but it's just messy and ugly and all that stuff. That being said, though, is Snapchat even that relevant anymore? I was kind of under the impression that a lot of people had more or less sort of stopped using it. Not to the point it's dead, obviously, but it just doesn't feel like it's that significant anymore. As Carson's saying, quote, I use Snapchat like twice a year, maybe, but they're one of the few major apps without a dark theme still. Android still doesn't have a dark theme. iOS got it a couple years ago, and it's free. Yeah. Honestly, like, why would you do this? All that being said, the word may. I mean, this... I'm assuming that this is basically from a teardown. I'm not going to bother digging deeper, but... I saw something about somebody digging into Snapchat. Anyway, yeah. Known for digging into various social media apps and posting his findings on Twitter. Okay, yeah, so probably a teardown or teardown adjacent thing. All things said and done, good that they might do it, dumb that they might actually try to tie this to a paid option. I think it would be incredibly dumb to do paid, but whatever. But I feel like this is a natural side effect of what Elon Musk... should not have switched views yet, and the joke is ruined. But oh well. Yeah, this is one of those dumb things that companies are starting to do now, and Elon Musk sort of broke the bubble on it. See, I need to get like an Elgato Stream Deck. At this point, it's... I switch views accidentally too often. But yeah, this is something that Elon Musk kind of started with Twitter Blue. Or not started, but made okay. He basically told or showed a bunch of companies that what they can do is charge users for things that probably should have just been free updates to apps. And it's working to some extent. I'm sure companies are making a bit more money, and none of them wanted to do this before Twitter Blue. Like, Elon ate the bad press that comes with it. But it's not a good situation. This isn't where these apps should be going. They shouldn't, because think of the ultimate results of something like this. At a certain point, you're going to see you're going to see, well, Twitter Blue is already kind of there. If you aren't paying, if you're not paying to be on Twitter Blue, chances are your tweets basically don't exist. It's not quite to that point, but it's getting there really fast. And it's already been said, apparently, I don't know if this is already a thing, but I believe it is, or it's been announced that it will be. Apparently they're already talking about, or have done, a limited number of tweets for non-subscribers. If you subscribe, you can do unlimited tweets. If you don't subscribe, you get like, I don't know, I think it averages out to like 2 a day or something. Which is great for me, someone who never tweets, but and especially now that I don't even visit the site. But I mean, seriously, if you're going to make it completely unusable by people, they're never going to pay. And they're never going to want to pay, nor should they. That's not where the business model works for sites like this. And they shouldn't be trying to make it work. So yeah, I think Snapchat is making a pretty big mistake even trying to do this, because it's gonna alienate more users to know that this is a thing that they should have and that they're never gonna get because they're never gonna pay. But it is what it is. All right, anyway, so I am going to wrap it up in just a few minutes, but first I figured I would quickly talk about just the things that I am working on reviewing. These are far from reviews in general, but just a quick rundown of the oddball things that I have in front of me. First off, I think I mentioned this before, I have the Insta360 Flow here. It was announced and got a bunch of attention about 2 weeks ago. I did not, I only found out about it the day before it came out, and it's because we lost the person who had a press contact with Insta360, so I reached out and got that set back up, and they sent one over. So we're late to it, but it is what it is. I am also reviewing, and I have... Damn it, where's the box for it? Ah, here it is. And I have to look at this name every time because this is such a terrible name. So I am reviewing a new set of earbuds called the Poly Voyager Free 60 Plus UC. Yes, that is actually the name. As far as I can tell, well, not as far as I can tell, these are made by Plantronics. Actually, I'm gonna look these up real quick so you can see a better view of it. But and let's see. I wish they'd sent me the ones with white. They're easier to photograph. But yeah, so it is this. The case for this thing is huge. It is kind of thick in the way that the OnePlus Nord Buds is thick, but like thicker. It's about a 25% thicker, but that's not the crazy thing. It's this. This is the Nord Buds 2 case. I complained that this case was too big. I think it's a chunky case. Meanwhile, this Plantronics case is huge. It is just so big. Anyway, so the neat thing about this Yeah, here it is. The neat thing about this is the lid of the case actually has a touch screen in it. So, okay, I was hoping. Come on. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll. Yeah, so you can change settings, see battery levels, things like that in the screen of the case. I haven't actually fired it up and started using it yet, but that is a thing. So that's kind of neat. So I'll be tinkering with this. Oh, plus, actually, I got to give huge credit, massive, phenomenal credit to them for one thing I'm almost proud of. They have companion apps for Windows and Mac OS. I've checked out a lot of earbuds. Not an insane number, but let's just say I do have a few more sitting on my desk than any person actually should. In fact, here's another pair that I forgot. Well, I didn't forget I had them. I just forgot where they were. Right now, no joke. In this room. The other one in here too? No, I guess not. No joke, just sitting on my desk right now, I have 4 different sets of earbuds, and I think there might be another one against the back wall. But I've never had one that had a companion app or any useful function on a computer. It's always through a phone. So if anytime you want to change settings or tinker with anything, you have to move over to a phone to do it. So I'm immediately kind of actually happy with this. That being said, I think there is a pretty solid reason why these are not going to be super popular sellers. And it's because of this reason you might be able to make out there on screen. They're priced. I think this price has changed. Okay. According to this article that was back at CES timing, it was priced at $350. I thought I saw that they were just going to be $300. I don't know, but I'll have to look into it. Anyway, yeah, so they're pricey. They're really pricey. But hopefully still good. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, one of the things I'm actually about to do and will be doing tonight is taking pictures of both of these things. Trying to maybe also get a couple more pictures of the NAS that I'm reviewing, and so on and so forth. I also have a few other things that I need to get done and prepare for, but I will have more to talk about with that later. Anyway, so yeah, that's going to be my week. And yeah, so with that, I think it's about time to wrap it up. So thanks to everyone who is who has supported the channel in any way that you have, be it Patreon, tips, or otherwise. And of course, for those who would like to help out with the channel, there are links down below to Streamlabs, Patreon, and Cash App. By all means, contributions are immensely helpful, but not required. And oops, let's see. Yeah, bounce over to that view. And let's see. This weekend might be kind of hit and miss for gaming. We'll see. I'm gonna try, but I have a whole lot that I need to get done, so it might depend. So yeah, no hard promises on that. Carson, did I file my taxes yet? No, and that is part of the reason why I'm part of the reason why I am behind, or rather dead on time, because I have 3 reviews, all of which I need to kind of hurry up and get done. I have not finished the taxes yet. Honestly, at this point, I think I'm probably just going to file an extension because I've barely had any time to start. Let's see. Yeah, you say last weekend. If I remember correctly, Tax day is supposed to be the 15th, which is on a Saturday, so it would get pushed to the 17th. I could maybe fit that in, but I have some other stuff I need to get done that honestly, I don't want to say it takes priority, but the fact is, I know that if I file for an extension, I should be fine. Like, it should not cost me anything if I file for an extension. So I'm probably going to end up doing that. So we'll see. I don't know. Carson, Google Calendar says Tuesday the 18th. So I don't know if this is necessarily accurate, but the way that a lot of times works is if it falls on a weekend, there is one state, I forget which state it is. I want to say it's like Vermont or something. There was one state where they had some sort of a law saying that the tax day in that state couldn't be on the Monday after a weekend for some reason. And I don't know if this is actually the case, but I heard at one point and this could have just been wrong, but it's something I heard somebody explain. Supposedly at one point, the IRS may have just adopted that as a policy, not like a legal requirement, but they just may have decided that Monday after a weekend was too much of a rush anyway, so they just decided to push it to Tuesday. I have no clue if that's true. It kind of sounds like BS, but if it's true, yay. Either way, I don't think I'm gonna have it done by then. Not unless a miracle happens and I suddenly can get a whole lot of other stuff done. So in all likelihood, what I'm probably going to try to do is file an extension, get the reviews that I'm working on done, then take a couple of days of doing nothing but taxes. And hopefully that'll just mean that I file them 2 or 3 weeks late. And with an extension, that's fine, because the extension gives you until August, I think. So yeah, that'll be fine. So Carson, dare I ask, have you finished your taxes? Because I feel like anyone who asked that question either just finished them or hasn't done it. But I could be wrong. You did? Okay. But I'm betting you probably know a lot of people who haven't. You did it yesterday. Okay. Yep. Yep. I knew it was something like that. Anyway. So, yes. Let's see. So I will... again, this weekend is a little bit on the iffy side for gaming. But by next weekend, most things should be kind of normalized and back to where we want them to be. So there should be no interference with a RambleCast next week. I don't think. But with that, thank you all for coming by, hanging out, and being part of the show. It's been a good chat. And I look forward to the next time we do it. And so with that, good night, everybody.